There's only a select few of you guys who follow me both on Facebook and on YouTube, or are familiar with like my sister's channel, or a couple videos here and there where I've talked about uh, our pets at home, and chiefly amongst which uh, we had two gerbils, Jake and Elwood. Playing into the Blues Brothers fandom and everything, and the names. It was funny when we first got them. We'd actually called them reverse. Like we had a little thin brown one. He became Elwood, but originally he was going to be called Jake, and vice versa. We had sort of a chubby, white and caramel colored one that was sort of like the big brother, and he was actually named Elwood originally. And it just seemed like their personalities, it was the reverse. It was more well complemented to the way the characters were in the movie to reverse the names. And so the big fluffy white one became Jake, and the little brown one, as I say, became Elwood. And in the last about 5 days, our little fluffy ball Jake passed away. He had gotten sick. I believe he contracted something that's been ailing our other gerbil, Elwood. Our other gerbil has been, for the last week and a half, I read online that sometimes, whether it's a hereditary thing or it's something resultant of a lack of nutrition, or even having the wrong kind of bedding in their cages and such like that, he began to chew at himself and kind of mutilate himself a little bit because of irritation, probably, and probably like a virus. And we, a long time ago, because the two gerbils, when we first adopted them, they came in one cage, together, because there's a whole idea of like gerbils are community animals. They get along with a cage full of other gerbils and such, but sometimes the call of the wild can sort of come to the fore, and they get adversarial, they get territorial, and these two started fighting, and it was down to the line where it was going to be one or the other was going to live or die. And this goes back a couple of years, or like a year and a half now, where we separated them. We finally were able to get a secondary cage, so each one of them had their own cages, but we only ever had the one water sort of spigot thing that we could put in the cage. And so we've alternated it back and forth, even during Elwood's sickness, sadly. And I think Jake might have contracted the virus. And because he's a plumper gerbil, and apparently they can get a lot of human diseases, things like diabetes, things like ovarian cysts, things you wouldn't even imagine an animal could suffer from. Very human diseases. And I guess it just really impacted his little heart. And he had had a stroke. I found him sort of up against the wall of the cage. What they used to love to do is jump up and be like scratching and chewing at the bars of the cage and everything. And they're chewers naturally, so like we would put toilet paper tubes in so they could chew the cardboard. More wild gerbils can chew like wood chips and things like that, and they need to keep their teeth sharpened, because without their teeth, basically they would starve, the way they eat and what they eat. And but I had found him slumped against the bars mid-climb, and it looked like he was stunned, or like he had been shocked, or whatever it was. And I realized his breathing was very heavy, and I looked online, and sure enough, the signs of a stroke were like one closed eye, and he had that. One of his paws was sort of limp. He couldn't control it that well. He couldn't walk that well. And for the first day, he was really bad off, and he started to improve a little bit, because we kept constant watch over him, much as we've been doing with Elwood, who is also ill, as I say. And he just, I don't know, it's one of those situations where he started to look better, but apparently it wasn't enough, and he had a secondary stroke, which is what did him in. My sis had gone and gotten the cage, and we saw that he was really breathing and rasping, and he was making a clicking noise, which, according to some sites online, it's like a respiratory infection, that kind of thing, which can be its own thing, but it can also be resultant from a stroke and such. And he was squeaking out of just the pain, I guess. And we held him and alternated holding him, not knowing what the outcome was going to be just minutes later. But he started to get roochy, and he started to release fluids, and he died in my hand. And it's been weird because, like, we've suffered so many losses and so many very painful ones, and it's definitely been, you know, I've been missing him and everything like that, and been really just down about it. And the surprising thing, though, is most of my days, it's like my subconscious, whatever it is in my brain, is keeping it out of my mind. Like, I was very fearful of walking into my room and constantly going to look for where his cage would normally be, because it's not there anymore. And because he was part of the daily routine. We'd wake up, we'd see him in the morning, you know, hold him, play with him, feed him, see him throughout the day, see them both. And I've just been surprised at how sort of gung-ho about just getting back to life and just continuing living I've been, even though it really hurts. And I don't think I've been as conscious of how much it hurts. Haven't really thought about it that much. I've been trying not to think about it, I guess. But, just one of those things. I miss him terribly. And we still, at the moment, have Elwood, who is... It could go either way. Like, I don't know how long he's going to be with us. He does seem to be healing to a point, and we've been feeding him Cheerio mash. Like, they used to snack on Cheerios in between when we would, you know, alternate between seeds and Cheerios. They love sugar-free cereal things that they can chew and eat and enjoy and stuff. And but because of their ailments, we were feeding them, like, you know, adding some water to it and mashing it up a little bit. And he was chomping at the bit at that the last couple of days, just like after so many days of not really being able to eat because he was so out of it and whatever. But he's been gobbling that up, Elwood, and drinking a lot of water, and doing so of his own volition more so. And that would seem to indicate that he's getting better, but he is still shaky. He's raw all on his underside where he's chewed himself apart, and it's black with dry blood and everything. And we don't really, you know, we can't afford to take him to a vet or anything. We don't know what to do except just make his comfortability as much as possible, you know, make him as happy and comfortable as possible. And so it could still go either way. We may end up losing him as well. I don't know. The hope is he'll heal, and he seems to be, but we thought that with Jake. So, I mean, but, yeah, just kind of a little vlog about why I've been a little distanced with just, you know, things lately. I've just been still doing the videos, and I just really haven't been talking too much to people, and, I don't mean to shut anybody out or anything. I don't know. I just need to process things every now and again, and whatever happens, happens, and we'll see. So, yeah.